Good morning. Good morning. I agree with Tim that the alkalites this morning for the first time, I remember when our son did it, when we were here, a proud moment. It was always a proud moment to see them do it and take out the light to the world. I come to you today to tell you my story, and my story started when I was very young, over at what I lovingly call Old Coburn on West Main. Some of you have gone there when I went there. I started out, the first minister I remember was Reverend Snyder. He had a very soft voice, and he had warm hands. That's one thing I remembered about. When I would shake his hand, it was warm. It was warm. That picture over there on the wall was right in the narthex at Old Coburn. I'm sure some of you know that. Anyway, I started out in the basement of the church with Betty Weekert, saint of a church. Then I moved upstairs to the balcony when I was a teenager with Paul Webster, Patricia's dad. We sat up in the balcony and it was slanted. You had to be careful when you got up to walk down. Lots of steps in that church. One Sunday, the next pastor arrived, and that was Chester Imhausen. We had him there for years. He came with his family. He had a son and a daughter, and he eventually came here when this church was opened, when they moved north. I attended MYF with a large group of kids. I sang in the church choir in my teenage years with Glenville Thomas, and Virgil Bocher was our organist. One Sunday, we were singing the Hallelujah Chorus. Partway through, the organ went out, and Virgil ran across. It was a large sanctuary, curved, and he got on the piano as we kept singing till we got there. And I remember that vividly. I've got little notes here, these little cliff notes. I don't have what Clay had. Tom and I got married at Old Coburn in 1970. Pastor Imhausen married us. Our reception was in the basement. The menu was cake and punch and mince and nuts. Back then, that's what it was. It wasn't a $20,000 whatever. But we were married. When Eric was born in 1974, he was baptized at Old Coburn at the chancel rail with probably about 10 other children, 10 other babies, 10 others. Later on, I can't tell you what year it was for sure, but the plans were mentioned that the church needed to move north to this area, to this plot of land. My dad and I went to the meeting, and we didn't see the vision at that time. We didn't see the vision. So when the church closed, my mom and dad and my sister went to First United Methodist in Putnam. And we joined them there off and on. And then when we did come back, after the church was blessed and consecrated, I believe it was 1977. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. We weren't here for that. we were going to church with my mom and dad and sister, and when we did finally come back a couple years after that, we joined the VEP class, Sunday school class, which was upstairs where the junior worship is. There was a hallway up there, and there were Sunday school classes, and we were in one. The VEP class was very busy. I always said the VEP standard for ready, willing, and able, and we were that. We were that in a nutshell. So when we finally, I'm sorry, I'm ahead of my Cliff Notes here. I don't know the year, but when they decided to add on to the church, Tom Sieber and his late wife, Eva, spearheaded to raise the money to build what you see from the stained glass doorway to the gym, to the kitchen, was built. So at that time, we left the VEP class and went to New Vision. That class, we used to meet in each other's homes once a month and have a meal and prayer and business meeting. When COVID came, that all stopped, and I miss it. We miss it, being together. But the class is still down there. You know, when that section was built, there was Sunday school class in every room, plus the library. And now that's all gone. But we're blessed with the praise team in their room and the food pantry that is doing very good work, reaching out. My dad, later in life, came down with Parkinson's and then Alzheimer's. It was a very tough time. I was very close to my dad. We tried to keep him at home, and that he had spent some time in Cambridge, had many shock treatments, and nothing helped. I would talk about him, and I will talk about my mother. She had heart trouble from all that she went through. And then when Ina Mae came to live with us last year, or for 13 months, we dropped out of the choir and we dropped out of the New Vision class to sit with her every Sunday morning. It was important to do that. But I want to talk about their visions when they passed. My dad, like I said, was very irritated, he would have never cussed in his life, but he was so angry. When he died in the hospital, he was laying there and there was a little nun beside him praying. And I leaned over and I said something to him. He was laying there quiet, very quiet. And I said, "I love you, Dad." And right before he died, his eyes opened and he blinked. And I knew he saw a vision. He saw the vision that I say started when they wanted to move north. And he passed away peacefully. My mother died after a failed heart surgery. And the time I sat beside her, she stared out the window of the last day of her life. just kept staring. And I said, Mom, what do you see? Mom, what do you see? Hospice came in with a little blue book that I was reading, and she kept staring. And I know that she saw the vision of heaven. And my mother-in-law also, she went under hospice care in the hospital of her own accord. She wanted to go. She was ready. She was ready. And we sat there and we watched her. The hospice nurse that was giving the injections was named Lucy. And I couldn't remember her name day after day but I connected Lucy in the sky with diamonds. That was all I could think of to remember her name. But she was wonderful. And Ina May went peacefully. I say all that. Maybe I have not made my vision clear, my story clear. But I say all that for the fact that I hope that I get to see that vision, and we all get to see that vision someday. We know there's a better vision. The Lord, our family members. Are you crying, Luann? She's crying. I'm so sorry. But I've had a long journey and a long time with Coburn United Methodist Church. I remind you, I do get the greeters. If you want to greet, get a hold of me. And like I said, we sang in the choir, and we just recently came back to Sunday school. You get out of the habit. It's hard to get ready. The time changed. Sunday school used to be at 9:30 and church was 10:30, and it's changed. I don't like change, but it's changed. And I appreciate your listening, and I wish you all the love of God and peace in your families. Thank you.
Morning. Now, Susan and I have been Methodists all of our lives. Now, of course, I'm just 50 years old, so I've only been a member for 50 years. Well, plus a few more, maybe. But when I was asked to do this morning, it was about 3 weeks ago, and if anybody knows how I work, you know that I put something together 3 weeks ago, and I have slept on that for 3 weeks, and I've